That'll happen if we get a sun or a sun with an eye. If we get a skull, or the skull with the fire and the sword, we'll gain 5 rations, but we'll find something we think is one of these, but it's actually poison. Okay. Hey Wargamers, welcome back. Purple Druid here, and today we are taking a look at some of the information in the campaign notebook series of gameplay aids from Perplexing Ruins. Now, I printed this out. This has some cool stuff in it. It has a rooms and corridors procedure, D88 sort of thing for generating a dungeon. We have a whole bunch of little tables here for ruins and delving sites and dungeon dressing, and then some great D88 tables for wilderness encounters, dungeon encounters, settlement encounters, and then again a ton of D8 tables for all sorts of things. Objectives, omens, weather, NPCs, settlements, loot the body, common adjectives, magical adjectives, types of things, magic items that you can find, and then a D88 chart of bonuses and magical effects. So all sorts of information packed into this campaign notebook. This is, I believe, pay what you want on the Perplexing Ruins itch.io, and I highly recommend taking a look at it. We are going to be using, I've already used some of this in the dungeon generation game that we've been playing. This, I think, kind of creates its own dungeon. It's got a little bit different flavor than what I'm looking for to match up with Kal-Arath and the Druid Quest project in general. So I think before we dive into this as written, I'll take a little look and see if I can't update it to kind of match the flavor of whatever dungeon it is that we're looking at. But we'll still use the same basic process. Or, if you want me to just run one as is, let me know in the comments down below. And if I get enough interest, then I'll go ahead and do so. Now, we also have a Hexcrawl, which is the same sort of thing. We've got a solo engine for this, characters, encounters by terrain type. And again, these encounters imply a particular setting that I don't know matches with Kal-Arath. And so I like the way this is laid out, but I think that I'm going to regenerate this sort of thing as part of the overall Druid Quest Hexcrawl generation system. But this is valuable stuff. If you just want to sit down and play a Hexcrawl, get it, do it. It will be a lot of fun. Now, let's get back to the Kal-Arath world that we are in, that we're building, the Druid Quest project that we're working on. In our last adventure, Brun-Dax and company had left Highfork and traveled through these hexes around the top of the north part of the Dragon's Back Mountains. They had a little issue with getting lost. They ran into a monastery that we placed on the map, and they are right here in this hex, the very western part of campaign hex 2422. And in this episode, we're going to do another week of travel. because I've updated the weekly turn process and I want to see how it works before we get too far along. So what we're going to do is we're going to plot our moves. We'll be looking at the terrain that we're in and how far we can go. And that is determined here by our primary terrain type, which is grass. And we can cover 3 campaign hexes per week. We'll get a +1 modifier to any encounters and to any foraging. And the cost to enter any regional hexes is 1 point, and you'll get 4 points per day. So if we want to zoom in, we can. But for right now, we're going to plan on moving 3 hexes through the grasslands, and we're going to plot out our moves. After that, we're going to roll for the weather, then we'll roll for getting lost. We will roll for the terrain types that we're going to find in the hexes that we plan to move through. We will roll for any points of interest, and those are, we'll be using the ones here in the Kal-Arath book. Points of interest on page 27. I'll make a note of that for myself. And then we'll mark those on the map where it fits best. Step 6, we'll roll for encounters. We're going to roll 66. And this is a process I just made up today to simulate daily sorts of encounters. We'll roll 66. For every 1, that will be a daytime encounter. For every 2, that will be a nighttime encounter. And then we'll roll here to see what we got with that. If there's a 3, we'll find signs of a monster. If we roll a 4, we'll find a natural encounter or a hazard of some sort. And on a 5 or 6, there's nothing. The natural and hazard features, we'll roll a d20 and figure out, we'll do our abductive reasoning and figure out how these fit in. We've got caves, ravines, carcass, brambles, boulder field, barrow mounds, tall grass with lions, all sorts of things available there. After that, the next step will be rolling for foraging. We'll roll 4d6 and apply that to the forage table here in the Kal-Arath book, which is right here. And that will be modified by our terrain, which is grass, which is +1. And then finally, at the end, we'll do our upkeep. We'll subtract 7 rations per man, 7 water per man, and go from there. So let's go ahead and plot our moves. So right now, let's get a pencil. We are in this hex right here. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit while we do this, because that might make life a little bit easier for everybody. So we are right here in this hex, and we can go, essentially we can go 5 small hexes within the larger hex. So we can go 1 hex, 2 hex, 3 hex. We're heading for Karanis, the city of Karanis. We are not really sure where that is. So what we're doing is we're heading over here, and then we're going to follow the terrain around. We know that these badlands and these hills are here, and we know about these rivers because we've copied these from maps we got from Morpan. And so Dotrath is leading us, and we're going to head southwest until we hit these hills. That's our plan. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. T1 right here. This is going to be our first marker, and then we'll follow this around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to T2. That will be the second hex. And then 1, 2, we're going to head for this river. When we find it, we'll follow that around. So T3 is right here. So these are the 3 hexes that we are going to travel through. Now we're going to roll for weather. And let's go and review our notes from last time. Week 1, the weather was a result of 10. So let's check our weather chart. 10 was heavy clouds. And we also rolled a 2, which meant that there was no rain. So let's go ahead and roll 2d6. That is a 5. Right. So 5 is clear. And on a 1 to 2, it'll be still. On a 3 to 6, we'll have light wind. 6, we'll have a light wind. So week 2 weather is now 5 with light wind. All right, so that's our weather. And now we're going to roll to see if we get lost. We're heading for these areas here. And we're going to see what's going to happen for the first hex to get to T1. We don't have any modifiers. The only modifier is for rain or fog. So if we roll a 1, we'll be lost in this hex. If we roll a 2, we'll be off course. So that's a 5. So we're going to get to T1 okay. T2, that's a 3. We'll get to T2 okay. And then for T3, oops, I'm going off the map here. Let's zoom back out. T3 is a 6. Okay. So we are going to be able to navigate to our 3 waypoints without getting lost. Now we're going to roll for terrain. And our terrain procedure is right here. Each area of terrain, like I said, this primary terrain type is grass. We're going to roll for a secondary and a tertiary type. We're going to roll a d-average. Alright, so this is Hex 2322. Primary is grass. Secondary and tertiary. So, secondary, there are 4 plus 4. So we're going to have 8 subhexes of a secondary type of terrain. And the tertiary, we're going to have 6 subhexes of a different kind of terrain. Now we're going to roll on the terrain chart. We are in grass, and we're going to roll a d20. That's a 16. Grass, 16 is more grass. And for the tertiary is a 4. Under grass, that is forest. So we'll have 6 subhexes of forest. And as I mentioned, I like to put these all together. And this is our template for determining secondary and tertiary terrain. You can switch these over if you want to. So let's go ahead and we'll choose randomly. On a 1, 2, or 3, we'll use the red numbers. And on a 4 to 6, we'll use the blue numbers. That's a 5. So we're going to use the blue numbers. And we'll roll a d10. A 4. So we're going to start in subhex number 4 on that side. So that is right here. So this is going to be forest. Now there's 2 ways we can do this. We can just go around in a circle, or we can roll a d6 and see which way to stretch them out. We can see if that goes in a pattern. We can roll a d6 to see how many are in a cluster. We can do 2 clusters if you want. So let's ask the bones. If we get a yes, we will just go clockwise. If we get a no, we'll roll a d6. And if we get a blank, we will split it into 2 pieces. All right, we're going to split into 2 pieces. So we're going to do 3 and 3. So the first one is going to start, you know what, we're going to do it both ways. We'll start the first one at 4, which is here, and then we're just going to go up to the top, and we'll put a second one here and a third one here clockwise. We'll roll a die. 3. We've already got one there. We'll roll again. 8. 8 is over here. Is this one. So we'll put a forest there, and then we'll roll a d6. North is 1, 2, 3. We'll put a forest here. And 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put a forest here. All right, so we've placed our terrain. And now we will roll for points of interest once a week on page 27. D66. 25. Deserted campsite with random equipment. So somewhere along here, we're going to run into a deserted campsite. And, oh, you know what? So we got to there, okay. We got to there, okay. We're gonna get to. Let's do it. Go ahead and do 23-23 for terrain, and then 22-24 for terrain. So once again, we have primary grass, second and third, and then 22-24. Primary is grass, second and third. So, G average plus 4 is 6. G average plus 2 is 4. G average plus 4 is 6. G average plus 4 is 6. Or plus 2, I'm sorry, is 6. Then we'll go back to our chart. Secondary terrain, 6 hills. Tertiary terrain will be 11 more grass. Secondary terrain will be 3 forest. Tertiary terrain will be 14 more grass. Okay. And now we'll go ahead and drop those in. Hills. Again, we'll do 1 to 2, the left side. And our D10 is a 5. So the hills will begin here. Another hill here. 1, 2, 3. Another hill here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is a grassy hill. And 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another hill here. We have 6 hills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So one more hill. 2. 1, 2. We've already hit that. Roll again. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hill. Right there. Alright. And secondary terrain in 22, 24 is forest. 3, we're going to use the red side again. 6, which is here. 6 is here. 1 is here. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're just gonna keep going around. We're gonna skip that one because that's in another hex. 2, 1, 2. So this will be a forested hill here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One more. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's in another hex. We'll roll again. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've already got one there. And 2. 1, 2. That's another hex. You know what? We're just going to put it here. Alright. So now we have determined all of our terrain. And let's go ahead and let's just count. We've got 15 hexes. Let's roll a d20. Let's see where that campsite is. Number 5. So we're starting here and we're shooting for this one. So there's a campsite here. This is where the POI is. That's where we'll find our campsite. Alright, it is now time to roll for encounters. We're going to roll 66. We'll get some marketing in for Mayhem Con. Alright, we have a 1, a 2, a 3, and then 3 5s, which 5 and 6 are nothing. So we're going to take those away. And we have a 1, 2, or 3. So we're going to have a daytime encounter. We have a nighttime encounter. And a sign of a monster. Alright. Well, here's our encounters. Let's go ahead and roll for sign first. And we'll put that in the first, second, or third hex. 3. So that'll be in the second hex. 1, 2. And then we'll roll randomly. We'll use the d20 and we'll use the chart from the 4. 19, that'll be... It's going to be in this hex, somewhere along the path that we're following. 2. Alright, so we're going to be 1, 2. So here, we'll have our sign. I'm going to put an X there. So somewhere after this, we'll see our daytime encounter, and that is going to be on the D66. 26. 26 bison herders and a herd of bison. So that's our encounter. Hang on one second. We're going to use the encounter table in Blueholm. And for open terrain, we roll a d8. That's a 3. It'll be dragons. And then we're going to roll a d12. And that's a 4. Basilisk. Okay. So that's our sign. We saw the sign of a basilisk, which means we found some creature has been petrified. Let's see what kind of creature that was. Again, we'll use the same encounter table. For open, the D8, that's a 3 again. I don't want to do a repeat. 5, giant. Okay, so under giants, we have a 9, an ogre. So we have found a petrified ogre. That will be our sign. We'll put that into our little narrative. Now, that's here. And somewhere between there and there, so let's say 1, 2, 3. So we'll roll a d3. That's a 3. So right here at T2, we'll have our daytime encounter, which is d6 bison herders and their herd. So 1 bison herder. Plus herd of bison. All right, well, let's go ahead and use our campaign notebook. And we're going to roll under the NPCs. Here we go. And we know that they're a herder. So let's have 2 details. The herder is massive and wanted. The herder's goal is to find something. We're going to skip the name. We'll come back to that. Actually, no, we can roll for his name right here in the Ziggurat book. For a lovely Kal-Arath name. Here we go. D66. 12. Gaidor. His name is Gaidor. Alright. He is carrying a sacred relic. So a sacred relic, that's probably something that he has taken, and that's why he is wanted. So there is a reaction table here, but I want to go ahead and roll on the encounter table here. So we're in the grasslands. We get a +1 to our encounter roll. It's going to be a d6. And that's a 6, so +1. We're going to have a -2 to our reaction roll. And we're going to roll 2d6. -2. That will give us a 4. He is angered and or hostile. Oh boy. Reaction roll. Angry/hostile. Okay, so that gives us some really good information to create a little narrative. So a massive bison herder named Gaidor with his herd of bison. He is carrying a sacred relic. His goal is to find something. I'm not sure what he's looking for. Perhaps he's looking for the monastery. There's an idea. Let's find out if that's the case. We're gonna roll the bones. Once again, shout out to Tales of Argosa for this mechanic. Yes, and blank. We don't need the tiebreaker. He is looking for the monastery, and he wants to give it to them. The little good, something good can come to this. Well, you know what? We know where that monastery is. We can point him in the right way and alleviate the hostile response. Brun-Dax is able to have a conversation with Gaidor, and we will point him back here to the monastery and let him know that he can return the sacred relic there. All right. Return relic to monastery. All right, that's pretty cool. All right, the next one, our next encounter is the nighttime encounter. So let's roll again. Open terrain. That is a 3. I don't want to do 3 again. A 7. Humanoids. 11. Sagoth. Oh, that fits perfectly. The Sagoth are hairy, monstrous creatures like Wookiees. So the nighttime encounter is with some Sagoth. How many are there? We'll roll 2d6. 6 of them. And our reaction roll is going to be a 4 plus 1 for being in the plane, so that's a 5. So we're going to get a plus 1 to our reaction roll, which is a 9 plus 1 to a 10. They are going to be friendly. Friendly Sagoth we encounter at night. Interesting. Let's take a look at our NPCs once again, and let's find out what their goal is. They have a goal. They're friendly. They're going to share that with us. 3. Their goal is to sabotage something. Interesting. What are they carrying? 4. Oh, that's a repeat. 7. They have a rotten rope. Rotten rope. What do you suppose that's for? Ooh, the rotten rope. What is the rotten rope for? Or from? You know what? Let's roll on our wilderness encounter. And we'll just roll a d66 for this. The blue is the 10s. 25. A procession of cultists. Okay, so the rotten rope they took from some cultists. Which they are tracking. They are tracking some cultists. In order to sabotage whatever their plan is. Alright, let's see here. We haven't seen any cultists. But we do know about the bison herder, which I think we'll keep that to ourselves, but we're going to let them know about the basilisk. And let's see what they think about that. Uh-oh, yes and no. Tiebreaker. No. It's bad. They are afraid of the basilisk. So they're afraid of the basilisk, and so they are very happy we told them about it. So that will help them in their quest. So now we're going to add, for 2323 here, we're going to add that there are cultists roaming about on the encounter table somewhere here. Possible cultists. All right. So that's it for our encounters. Let's roll 46 for our foraging and see how successful that was during our time of travel. We get a +1 to our roll for being in the grasslands. So we have a 2, a 3, a 5, and a 7. 2 is hard luck, yields very little. A 3 is adequate. We find 1 ration, so that's 1 whole day's rations. So we get +1 ration for 1 person. The 4 becomes a 5, bountiful, +5 rations. Excellent. And the 7, well, you know what? That takes us off the chart. I don't have any rules for that. I'm gonna roll the augury. If we get a sun, we'll count it as a 6. We'll gain 5 rations and an herb from the following table. That'll happen if we get a sun or a sun with an eye. If we get a skull, or the skull with the fire and the sword, we'll gain 5 rations, but we'll find something we think is one of these, but it's actually poison. Okay, so we are going to gain 5 extra rations. That's awesome. And D6 doses of one of these herbs. We've got the sun with the eye. I don't know what that means. 3 D3 doses of one of these. 3 doses of more blossom. Ah, sweet. More blossom is very cool. We found that previously. We went to find some to get some monies, and this gives you a +2 to any intelligence checks for 1 hour, and that is worth 50 silver pennies. Excellent. So we've got some loot, we've got some trading stuff. Since we had to trade our more blossom elixir that we made, we had to trade that off back here, as you might recall, when we were at the monastery. Alright, so this week brings us down here to waypoint number 3, T3, which we did not get lost. We didn't have any trouble with the terrain. We had some cool encounters. And yeah, I'll go ahead and write this up, and we'll put this on the stack as a written narrative. We'll turn it into kind of a narrative, a little story, if you will, because, you know, a story emerges from the rules we've made here. And so our next stop is in Hex 2224. And technically speaking, if we look at our... We're just going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's subhex number 12. And then we'll go ahead and subtract 7 rations and 7 water. Well, we're plus 12 rations, so we're going to be plus 5 rations for the week. And since we're on the water here, we're going to be able to fill that up. So we will be back to full water for our supplies. And now we won't have to roll for getting lost, because we're going to follow the river down here to Kal-Arath. Let me get this out of the way. So in our next video, we'll do the next week of travel, which will really only be about a half a week, and we're going to follow the river down to Kal-Arath and see what happens. So one nice thing though is that this particular this area here is patrolled. So we're going to, I think, reduce we're going to change. We'll see what happens. Let's just roll and see what happens, because you never know. We might run into a bison herder that's perfectly acceptable, and there could be a dragon that's acceptable too, because he could be coming down from the mountains. Who knows? So anyway, this has been really exciting, and I like the way that this flowed. I think this was smooth, and even though I forgot to do these right off the bat, we went back, filled them in, no problem. So I think we have a good procedure. I'm going to go ahead and type that up. We'll put that on the itch.io for you. That's world-of-wirth.itch.io. There will be a link in the video description down below. And yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I think this works. This is smooth. We're going to fill in these 3 hexes. Well, actually all 5 of these hexes. We'll fill these in. I did go to Michael's today, and they're having a clearance sale. Look at that, clearance. So I got a whole bunch of new markers for 50 cents each. So we're going to color in all of these so our map will get more attractive. And that brings us to, what day is it? We started off on the 28th of June. So this is going to bring us into July. So this would have been, I should have marked that down. But anyway, I'll put that in the description. So now we know where we are. And I think what we'll do is I'll do a bonus video where we'll find out what Morpan has been up to in Highfork with his research, and I'll release that coming up as a bonus video. So, as always, thank you for watching. Have a great day, and keep on gaming.